All right, welcome back, everybody. So, I've been working hard, as you might be able to see, getting these 1-inch OSB in. So, I've elected to go with half sheets instead of full sheets because the full sheets are too heavy for me, very much too heavy. I've been sweating, spent about 2 days cutting all my 1-inch OSB. Got one sheet left and I got a smoking deal, so I really don't want to pay full lumber prices as they are right now, so I'm going with what I got, and then I got a smoking deal on some 3/4. So the game plan is we'll go from end to end here. So I've got ton and groove OSB, as you can see. So I started on the tongue this end, lined it up somewhat good for some reason. Got a bit of a gap there, whereas it's tight on the bottom, kind of nice and flush on the bottom. I think it's because the floor has just a slight slope down in here. It's not the end of the world. It's not going to be absolutely perfect, so to say, but I can fill in the gaps. And my plan is you can see, like, there is a bit of a gap because I tried to keep it nice and straight, so to say, on the stud. So I'm doing good on the studs, pretty straight. Nice overhang and everything. And then what I'm doing is I'm screwing one at the top and then doing every foot, and then I haven't screwed in any of the tongue and grooves, so there's the groove side for you. So yeah, what I started with is I got the whole bottom row in, just got all that secured, same on the other side. Everything's in nice and tight, and then obviously I started there, did the top one, went to the other side, doom, and then put in this one, got that next one in, and then what I did is I put that one in because this one I had to cut a little shorter because that's where it ends up at the peak, as you can see. So I don't have a groove on this side, so what I'm electing to do is, because this is where I'm getting into all the fun triangles and everything, as you can see. So that's going to be a triangle piece. This transition here is where I'm going to start putting in the 3/4 OSB that I have. Just because this area is not going to have a lot of the bass, because essentially, like, the speakers are going to be on this side and the subwoofer is going to be in the back of the room. Kind of a weird setup, but based on the CAD design and like the acoustical kind of values I got, and like looking at kind of how everything will meld in the room, it was better to have the sub at the back. Might sound a little weird, but in theory, if you have a subwoofer placed right, it will just sound like the bass is coming from everywhere. So I'm not too concerned about that. That's why I elected to go with the 1-inch on this side, because a lot of the low frequencies will be mostly on this side of the room. So yeah, it's been fun. So what I've been doing is, as you can see down in here, I had to do some geometry. So there is a touch of a lip because there is no way to have them line up perfect. Well, there probably is, but it's a little bit beyond my pay grade. Because if you look here, like, I've got it, let's see if I can get that. I've got it right flush in the corner, and then just a bit of a lip, which was actually quite handy, because basically I could then just slide this in, push it up with one hand, hold it up, punch a screw in, and that's basically how I got it in this far. For these last couple of 4 pieces here, the 1, 2, 3, and 4, I'm going to wait to get some assistance because they are pretty heavy. I think each of those is like a good, maybe like a good like 60 to 80 pounds, somewhere in there. And I don't want to kill myself. Don't want this dropping on my head or anything. So I'm going to wait till I get some assistance. Weather has kind of changed for the worse. I'm up here in Canada, so it has a tendency to get cold up here. So a little too cold to be cutting wood. So what I've elected to do instead is just kind of start working on my doorway area. So plan is I'm going to leave this open till I get all my wood and all the plywood and everything I need to get up into here. So that half of the wall is going to be done at a later time. So I decided today I'm just going to start on working on this. So like I said, I'm using what's called a Murphy door hinge. So a Murphy door is like, if you see those movies where there's like a bookcase, you pull a book and the bookcase opens up, that's exactly what a Murphy door is. Now, the reason I'm going with that is because I want everything to be kind of nicely sealed, nice and tight. And the door's going to be quite thick too. So give me one moment here. I'm just going to place the camera and show you what I've got going on. Okay, so I've got one joist here, one joist here. So that is 3 feet, 3 feet exactly. Now, what I've done is I've kind of cut out a template of what the dimensions of my door are going to be. So this is going to be filled with insulation, and then I'm going to do another 2x4 frame here, so to say, across the whole span that's going to be filled with insulation. And that's where the Murphy door comes in. So with my template here, how the Murphy door works is comes with these hinges. I'm using this kit here. It was expensive, but well worth it. So it's got bottom and top hinges and a pin goes into them. And then essentially what it does is you screw that obviously into the wood and everything. And then the door will say that's the door closed, the door will open and it will go on the pivot. Now to give you a good example of how that works, with my template, I've already got everything marked out. So when I put my pencil here, move everything out of the way, you can see the door will open just like that. So on this back side here, it'll end up nice and flush when it's closed here. Now on this front side here, I have to leave about a half of an inch of a gap. So you can see I've kind of got that little cutout here. And then what I'm going to do is make this about half an inch longer so that the 2x4 almost ends up coming in flush onto that, so to say. So when it opens and closes, there's enough room for everything to open. Now another thing too, where did I put that piece of wood? So with the wall that's going to be, 1 second here. There we go. So with the wall that's going to be right here, I need to leave about a half of an inch gap. And when you watch this front corner here, let's see how good my camera work is. So that's pretty close to a half inch gap. So the 2x4 is going to be there. There's going to be another wall here. So there'll always be this little bit of a gap, so to say. So when I put my pencil down and go on my pivot, you can see it almost touches, but it never does. So this way, when this is closed, in a sense, everything will be sealed. Quotation fingers. And then what you do is you end up just putting a piece of trim. So on this gap here, there'll be a piece of trim that just comes up and it'll cover the gap, so you won't see the gap when the door is closed. And then you do the same here, and you basically at that point then kind of just like frame in trim all around so it just looks like the door is hidden. So I've elected to go with a 3-foot door, wide door, I should say. That gives me plenty of room to be able to walk straight in without having to duck or anything. So it works good. So let me just back up. I'll show you. Yeah, perfect on the headroom. So I can just walk directly straight to my desk. So I think that works pretty good. Yeah, it's it took me about, I don't know, all day to kind of figure out all the angles and everything. But once I figured it out, it's been good. Drawing the template was super handy. Cutting out that template was good. And I had to make sure that these are perfectly straight. And they're straight as straight could be. So what I'm going to continue doing is I'll build the bottom of the sill here. And then another thing I've done as well is I've kind of cut out or marked out the template. Now when This goes onto there. Because I do have that bit of a lip, I want to kind of, I think I'll probably end up, I don't know, probably just chiseling at it, just chisel it in nice so it's nice and flat on here. And then on the 2x4s, because it's going to be two 2x4s like this essentially, I might just router out a little template on the bottom there, just so it kind of sits in nice, and then there'll be, in a sense, less of a gap on the bottom there. Because with the two of them there, as you can see, I don't know how easy that is to see, that's like almost a good inch gap, and I kind of want to minimize that, so I'll probably end up routering out just the board so that this just kind of sits in nicely and flush on there, and then there's no issues and whatnot. Been reading the guides on how to do this. They give somewhat decent instructions on how to do this. I think it's kind of get your template, find a pivot point, see how good it works, and go from there. So I'll keep you posted on how I'm doing on this. I'll do some diagrams of how I'm building the door and everything, because I've personally never seen a studio with a Murphy door, so it's something unique, something different, and hopefully you find this informative. Okay, so I've been doing a bit of framing, as you can see. What I did is I went 16 to center here. I'm just going to find the next 16. Might be a little close to here, and then what I did is I went 16 to here, 16 off center, and I decided to stagger them just because that kind of helps with insulation, prevents them from, or the 2x4s from kind of like vibrating on each other. Don't think it'll make that much of a difference, so to say, but that's just what I've been reading, is just kind of stagger your studs. It helps a little bit with all the absorption that's going to go on this back wall, because like I said, it's going to be 8 inches of insulation in the back here. And then the corners, I'm going to do super chunks, probably super chunks up to here, figure out how to do super chunks on the door, all the way down, super chunk. Just kind of catch the base in the corners there, because that's where it likes to accumulate. So once I get to that insulation stage, I'll do the whole video on the acoustical panels and all the base traps and everything I'm planning to do. But yeah, until then, I'm just going to keep on framing. Okay, framing mostly done for now. Door frame pretty much in. I just need obviously the wood to get that, and then got to get the rest of my wall material up. Should be a warm day tomorrow to cut, so I'm going to get some cutting to finish all this up, and then that's done, and then I can finish the framing in there, get it all insulated, and then I got to pick out some nice fabric and paint and stuff. All right, had a good few days of cutting and getting everything in. And bam, we got all that in. And it was pretty difficult. Had some interesting measurements, to say the least. Some corners are a bit off. This one's like a little longer here, so to say, and then a little shorter there. But for my first time doing crazy angles like this, I think it turned out pretty good. I'm happy with it. Obviously a few little gaps and stuff in here. But what I'm going to do is just shove some spray foam in there, spray that, silicone all the edges, and then on those insides, just going to slap a kind of a trim board on there, nail it in so that kind of covers all that stuff up. Basically going to cover all the little gaps you see and everything. But yeah, it turned out good. So what I'm going to do next is 6-inch strips all the way down the middle there. It's like 143 1/4. So I'm going to go cut all those, get them up here, screw them in, and then that's when I'm just going to start siliconing, sealing, all that other fun stuff. And then at some point going to get to sanding down, light sand absolutely everything once all the trim's in. And from there, it's going to be prime and paints. Final boards are in, all down the middle. There's a slight gap there, but I'm okay with that. But yeah, got all those in. And that completes the walls and all the OSB. So next up, like I said, going to sand all this, light sand, 80 grit probably. and then do all the acoustical sealant and all my cracks and everything, and then cut some baseboards, run baseboards along there, wind up the peak here, cover all the cracks with the baseboard, and then get to some painting. Okay then, so I've been busy. I ended up getting all my little trim pieces in, all down there. You can see I've got a trim board all the way around. Looks a little jalapeno in there, but that's okay. It goes all the way there. Same on the other side, bingo bango. And then up there. And then I did 2 down the middle here, as you can see. All the way, just kind of because there's that big hole there, so I covered that up, and then kind of did a jalapeno piece in here. It doesn't look the greatest, kind of looks weird from far away, but it's going to be an acoustic panel there. I'm 99% sure, if I remember. So I ended up just sealing it with a thick piece of wood or whatever, and looks good. And then I got my baseboards on here too, all the way around. And you'll see I put down some cardboard, and they're taped because next stage is going to be painting. So I ended up as well sealing all the cracks using some Alex Dap and a putty knife, just so that's all sealed. Turned out okay, I think. I think it's going to show through in the paint a little bit, but it shouldn't be too bad. Now I ended up using this stuff right here, DAP Alex Plus it's called. This stuff is good for 40 years, acrylic latex chalk plus silicone, and you can paint on it. This is suggested for the OSB, just to seal up the cracks and everything. So you can see, looks pretty good, nice and flush. This is my trial piece. There's a bit of a ridge, kind of hard to see, touch of a ridge in there. See if it fills. I think it will be okay. But yeah, next couple of days is going to be painting. Okay, so it's been about 3 days and major transformation. The camera just completely whitewashed, but yeah, I've got everything all painted. Oh, for the most part anyways. I'm going to have to paint this once I get the door in, just the little trim bits and everything, and figure that kind of stuff out, but this has come along very nice. So what I did is I went 2 coats of primer. I went with a Zinsser 123, I believe it was called. And then 2 coats of a Chantilly lace white semi-gloss. And it turned out very nice. You can still see a bit of the texture in the wood and everything. It's got a nice gloss. You can see the lights reflecting on it there. I think it turned out quite excellent. So yeah, my next plan is I'm going to grab my speakers and do a little bit of a mock setup, so to say. I don't have the back wall in, but I kind of want a baseline at this point, kind of a baseline test to see how everything starts reacting once I start bringing things in. And bit more of an echo in here ever since I put the paint in. I can definitely hear it higher up. Down low where the speakers are going to be, it sounds nice reverb in here. Kind of expected that with the paint. It kind of reflects the high end a lot more. But yeah, so I'm going to get all this out of here, my drop cloths and everything. This dried overnight, so it's looking good. No wet spots that I can see. So clean this up. I'm going to put my 2 speakers, boom and boom. And the subwoofer is going to go somewhere here. And then just kind of move things around. Do a few tests, find a nice sweet spot so I can mark it off with masking tape. And then bring up my desk, modify my desk a bit, and then finish up this back wall. And then finish up in the little window area there too. Okay, so quick cleanup is complete. As you can see, I ended up just leaving the cardboard for now, just because I'm going to be around that area. Might as well protect the floor a little bit. But before I finish up this video, I said earlier, a few videos earlier, that I was going to cover my speaker stand build. And I think this is a good time to do it. So basically what I've done is I ended up using 1x6 cedar, all 1x6 cedar board. And I ended up using the same rubber that was underneath the floor. So the exact dimensions of my speaker will fit directly nice and flush on here. And then two 2x6s running long way, so to say. And then there's two with a bit of a gap here, as you can see, just because that was the dimension I needed. And what I ended up doing is notching them out. So as you can see, this goes in, notches right down into there. My paint job could have been a little better, but that's all right. So I did that the whole way around. Had a nice, in a sense, even, I don't know, like recycle sign, so to say. So all the gaps are the same. So you can see there's a hole on that side, hole on that side, and then there's this awkward white wire. But I ended up just doing, let's get them going here. Turn this light off. 1 second here. And as you can see, there's an on-off switch. And I've got some nice LEDs in there, so you can see there's some LEDs just on the inside there, and then straight down the middle row of LEDs. And I think it looks pretty good. In the dark, it just really brightens up really nice. It's just a little bit of an extra flavor, so to say. And then down in there, you can see all the little wiring I did to kind of wire it all up. So it's all one continuous strip. And then I also left an extra wire that comes out of this hole here in case I want to continue like the same LED stream, or, you know, in the future, if I want to add more LEDs to these, it's easy enough to do. So, yeah, let me get the other one going here. And these are all controllable by an iOS app. They like change to the music and all that other fun RGB stuff. But yeah, I think they look pretty good. In the dark, they will really brighten up. And these ones are the Govee lights, Govee. I have used lots of Govee lights in the past. So I decided to stick with the same brand, so to say, because this is going to be all filled with LEDs in here. Still figuring out what I'll do with the placement of the LEDs and everything. But it's nice to have it all on one app, so you can essentially just turn on the lights with your phone, change to whatever color you want, or whatever kind of movement of light you want, all that other kind of stuff. And yeah, it keeps it simple. So yeah, these speaker stands I think will do acoustically well. I've seen speaker stands kind of built similar, where it's kind of like the sound can get in there, it would bounce around. They're also quite heavy. Oh, and also there's the rubber on the bottom as well, so on both sides. So that should help decouple it from everything, basically. It should just almost sound like a floating speaker. Might have to put a bit of weight down to kind of help decouple it. It's a weird technique I read online. I'm definitely doing this with the subwoofer. It's going to go over here. I'm going to cover that in the next video, like I said, all the speaker testing and placement and everything. But yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, those are my cool LED stands. I think they're pretty cool. They look good in the dark. So once it's dark for the speaker test, I'll do a little video on them. Well, until the next video, I hope you enjoyed this little update, so to say, on the progress of the studio build so far. It was kind of a not so much time lapse one. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more time lapse, or if you want to see more, I don't know, just let me know down in the comments. And also make sure you like and please subscribe to my channel, because there's going to be lots more content coming out as I continue finishing this studio build here. Back wall still needs to be done. That window area still needs to be done. All the lighting, the electrical. I can't technically do electrical. I've got a buddy who's a electrician coming in to do that. He's kind of camera shy, so that's why I may or may not be able to cover the electrical part. But yeah, we'll go from there. I'll catch you guys on the next one.